think both of our racers should be readying up here soon, and we should be on our way.
Yeah. Do you have any like general hopes for this seed, one way or another?
I mean, I work in the morning, so I'm hoping for not a pedestal race. But I'd like to see them have to go mode swamp, just because none of the races I've commented have had a go mode swamp yet.
That would definitely be pretty exciting to see. So these runners are off. Not too much in the chest at the house today, at Link's house today, with just 5 rupees. But yeah, upcoming here, we'll find out what is the weapon of the day for escape.
Yep, let's see what the uncle gives us, and it looks like it is going to be the Cane of Burna. These racers are going to have to watch their magic with that. It can use quite a good bit of it. And Cube picking up an 8 bomb drop right from the start and getting the lamp early.
That is definitely a great find. Both of these runners, I'm sure, are pretty happy knowing they won't have to deal with dark rooms. It's sort of like a lot of runners these days have picked up how to do them, but even if you know how to do them, I'm sure it's a bit of a sigh of relief when you realize you don't have to.
Yeah, and that does put a couple extra things into play. So the right side of Eastern is already in play. And man, they don't want to see a Master Sword or a Cape anytime soon either. Because I mean, it's looking more and more like Aghanim. There's Pachu getting a 5 or 8 bomb drop as well. Looks like that is going to be a standard drop from some of our enemies here.
Yeah, so the prize packs from the enemies are certainly being very generous to start us off here.
That means hammer on Lumberjack Cave, probably. So if anybody watching this has not seen one of these randomizer races before, these runners are playing Link to the Past, released in 1991 for the Super Nintendo. The goal is the same as the vanilla game. They want to get 7 crystals, access Ganon's Tower in the Dark World, kill Aghanim at the top of the tower, and then kill Ganon at the pyramid. However, as you have already seen, items are not in their normal places. They can find items anywhere and everywhere. Logic is there, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, for instance, they could find the Pegasus boots down here in Zelda's cell. They could find a Quake medallion. They could find a Fire Rod. And these runners will have to learn to adapt and be flexible on where they go in order to win. We'll see they are doing pot strats here on the ball and chain guard. That's good. Save some magic. They don't want to run out of magic and have to save and quit or take an intentional death.
And so far, we're just getting little bits of money here and there for the most part from these chests. That was another big 20 we had there after a couple of blue rupees and some chests. So, unfortunately, they're not rich yet, but all they're seeing is money.
Looks like Pachu is just a little bit in the lead here. Maybe by a second or two, but that can change literally at any point in the game. That's one of the really cool things about Randomizer, is that you generally never really know who is in the lead unless it is very obvious.
Yeah, a lot of the times we'll see runners like route their way through the game very differently. One might head somewhere like Eastern Palace, while another one's like doing a bunch of stuff in the Dark World. And honestly, that variation of routes is one of the best parts of watching randomizer races, is just kind of seeing what kind of thought processes these runners do, thinking, what do I think at this point is the fastest way from here, or what kind of gambles do I want to make, maybe because I feel behind or because I just want to find something here really badly or something like that.
We're on our way through the snake hallway here. Pachu getting a big magic decanter. And Cube is getting ready to check and gets a red rupee. So both racers have bombs to get through the back half of sewers here and check those 3 items. They also have enough bombs to pretty much do them through Kakariko and the mini Moldworm Cave. They shouldn't have to stop and buy any.
Which is a good thing too, since both of these runners are only at 50 to 70 rupees, and they're going to want to save it for the bottle vendor while they're in Kakariko, which needs 100 rupees, and then possibly a play up to Zora, which is going to need 500.
Zora has been notoriously stingy this tournament so far. It looks like the back half of Escape has 2 bomb upgrades and 50 rupees. So if you're watching this and you're wondering what these yellow bombs with +5 are, those are our bomb upgrades, unless you just carry more. There will be arrow upgrades as well. Normally you get those from the fairy fountain at Lake Hylia, but we have coded those in as standard items here in the randomizer. Notice that Cube just straight up left that chest there in the sanctuary. That means it's a map. And got our first map check. Looks like 3 crystals in the light world. Looks like a blue crystal on Hera and 2 red crystals on Eastern and Desert. Going to be a crystal heavy light world, pendant heavy dark world. That points me away from a pedestal seed, but who knows this early.
Yeah, and you mentioned there were 2 red crystals in the light world, right?
Yeah, Eastern and Desert.
Yeah, so for those who are unsure what the red versus blue crystals are, there are crystals 5 and 6 are colored red. That is a little color aesthetic added in the randomizer, and that is because once you attain those 2 crystals, the big bomb to open the entryway to the ferry in the pyramid unlock, like you get the bomb so you can blow up the wall to get in there, and that is 2 more items to access. So the fact that light world dungeons are those 2 crystals this time around makes it a lot more possible that maybe we'll see these runners have to go in there to get one of those 2 chests.
Yeah, light world dungeons usually require less items. Hera just requires basically a mirror and a power glove to get up to you. You can loop around the other way. Desert just requires either book or flute and mirror and a power glove. Eastern just requires a bow. Based on what they already have now, which is the lamp. Checking the bottom of Blind's hut here. Got 5 items here. We'll have 5 items over in the well as well. Cube doing a little bit unorthodox, checking the back chest first. And getting a sword and a bottle. That bottle's really nice because now he can get the item from the sick kid.
And in case he thought he didn't have enough bombs, there's another 3 just to put in his pocket real quick.
I'm going to be checking this well, getting in one of our big 20 rupees there. I'll have many more of those to come. Just heart piece in the back of well, and then we got these 3 chests here. Half magic, that's very nice to get. Looks like we got a shield as well.
So with these bombs in hand, gonna check the chicken house right here. Get a nice little chicken throw into the hole there. So fun little thing to do. And there's our flute, and definitely great to find it while we're in Kakariko's, because we can just set it off right now and get our swag ducks out.
Yeah, that gives them a lot of mobility early this game. You really like to see it because it does get you around to a lot of places faster. Hold on, everybody be silent. The duck is running amok. As I was saying, like it almost like choice paralysis. You have so many places you can go now. Do you make the play and go check out Spectacle Rock? Do you check out Ice Rock Cave? They still need Dark World access. There are 3 items that are required for Dark World access. You have to have a Moon Pearl, and you have to have 1 lift upgrade, and then you need either a hammer or the 2nd lift upgrade. If you do not find all 3 of those in the Light World in these Spheres 1, Sphere 2 areas, you may have to go kill Aghanim just to get Dark World access.
Which at this point, they are closer to that Aghanim requirement than they are to the standard Dark World access, because in order to have access to Aghanim for the Dark World, you need at least the Fighter's Sword, the Lantern, and then possibly a 2nd sword upgrade, or the Cape, and that's just to get past the little laser beam that blocks the way up into the Aghanim's Tower section of Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, you can technically do it without the lamp, but Aghanim's Tower has some of the hardest dark rooms in the game. There's a double-sized maze there. There is a kind of a pathway maze that does not have borders on it, so you can fall into the darkness. It's really tough.
So Cube drains the dam here, and there is our first glove lift upgrade there after draining the water. Fantastic find this early.
Yeah, that's going to come in really handy. That opens up a lot more areas for him as well.
And on Pachu's side, just a little bit of a route variation in that Pachu is opting, rather than to look and see what's on the race game ledge, just kind of blindly doing it. It's just a different way to go about it if you want to gamble and say, I have a good feeling something's going to be here. Unfortunately, not going to pay off too much, and you can see kind of pause to get ready to get the flute out. Going to go ahead and grab those bombs just because, you know, early on, bombs can be a little stingy, and there are a decent amount of rooms you need to blow up walls to get into, so it makes sense to go ahead and just finish the race off and grab them.
Seeing Mini Motorhome Cave, and there's the hammer and the flippers. That's a good cave there. They only need the Moon Pearl for Dark World access. There is still a chance that is on the pyramid. That's the only Dark World place that can possibly be within logic. That's very rare that happens. So the Moon Pearl is most likely still in the Light World, but Aghanim is looking deader and deader as we go forward here.
Yeah, just those couple of locations really just blew that possibility out of the water pretty quick.
Yeah, they have 3 chests at Sasarashala. They have possibly 3 in Eastern. There is Agina's Cave. There is inside Spectacle Rock. There is the Waterfall Cave with 2 chests there, and Zora and the Zora Ledge. It's kind of what we're looking at. I think I got them all off of that. We'll see ZzCube heading up and checking out the Lake Hylia Island. That does require a mirror to get to and Dark World access, and that is just a piece of heart. Oh, he's going to go check Hobo as well. I forgot Hobo. Hobo may have the Moon Pearl.
Not sure what he'd be doing with it. I don't see him going on any travels, even in the Light World, much less the Dark World, with how comfortable he's found himself under the bridge here, though.
I mean, considering all that's going on in Hyrule as of late, like, having a good steady house under the bridge seems pretty okay. And just a big heart there. That's still very welcome early game. You do not want to go into the Dark World with Green Mail and 4 hearts.
For sure. Early Dark World access can really beat you up, and you can find yourself dead really fast sometimes if you're not careful. So with Pachu pulling out that flute on their way out of Ice Rod Cave, it looks like we're going to be seeing another bit of variation going on here. Possibly might not be doing any flippers locations at this moment.
No, he's just flipping down 8, and there's the Moon Pearl in the Waterfall Cave. And Cube actually doing something that we don't see very often. He's throwing a empty bottle in and getting something back. Any bottle that you throw in there will be the same thing, and it looks like he's going to get fairies anytime he throws a bottle in there. But with that, we have nearly 100% Dark World access. We cannot get down to Misery Mire, but pretty much anywhere else is available at this point. Dark World Death Mountain notwithstanding.
So nothing but a heart on that Zora ledge, and without 500 rupees, Cube's just going to head down from the Zora water area, and we'll start probably getting some Dark World checks here.
Yeah, it looks like we are on our way already to Hype Cave. That'll be a 17-minute Hype Cave. So everybody get your guesses in. Out of 10, what is this cave going to be?
I'm thinking we're going to see safety items and not progression, so maybe stuff like a bug net and mail, and maybe a bottle or something, I don't know.
And there's a map check. It looks like blue and red pendants on Thieves Town and Ice Palace. Looks like Skull Woods is going to be our green pendant. Yeah, I think we'll see Mirror in here.
Well, there's that Zora money we wanted earlier, and a shield upgrade, some arrows, some more money for Zora, and 20 more rupees.
Pachu is going further up into Zora's. He does not have the money for that, though. He's only got 410.
Possibly just wanting that heart on the ledge up there. Get a little extra bit of health, knowing that they'll be heading into the Dark World pretty soon.
Yeah, I can't blame him for that. I mean, Cube's already down to 2 hearts in the Dark World. A lot of these enemies, if we Green Mail, will take upwards of like 2 hearts away from you. Once you get to the murderous pterodactyls that you might see over here, those will just keep coming at you, and those are terrifying enemies. Oh, and there is evidence of that. Cube taking a death there. The little Hopper Wiggle guy taking away 2 full hearts.
But throwing that bottle in the fairy water there, paying off, getting a quick revive, and he's back on his feet here.
We're going to go check out, see what's on the pyramid ledge here.
And one little thing I want to point out, given that Cube is using that Robo-Link sprite, I get a kick out of seeing all the fun little extra sprites that go into, like, the ones that people make, along with, like, the extra details that go into things like when Robo-Link is dead, rather than just falling flat on the floor, you just see machine parts there collapse. So it's like those little neat details that the sprite devs have put together is a really cool addition to the randomizer stuff we see going on here.
Yeah, this randomizer's there's a lot of work that's been put into it by Carcat, Btorp, and a lot of the others. Go to vt.alttp.run, and it'll tell you everything you need to know on how to play this randomizer. There's also a great Discord community that you can join as well that is just super welcoming and just great all around. Looks like Cube is heading up to Catfish. Now this is pretty much as good a time as any to route that in. It's a little bit out of the way, but you might as well take care of it when you can. Pachu is going down to South Kakariko.
What would be a crazy find for Cube here is the mirror from Catfish, because then could route in Zora all in this area. Not going to be the case, though. Just 50 rupees.
He's going to save and quit while Pachu makes his way over to the digging game. That'll be as far as he'll be able to go here in South Dark World. Unless he happens to find Titan's bits buried over here.
And it looks like Cube might have had enough with the Dark World for now, opting to go to the Eastern Palace area for a little bit. Totally understandable. There's 6 potential items, it might only be 5, that we'll find between the Sosrala's hut as well as inside of Eastern Palace, depending on how the items are sorted in there. But yeah, makes sense with the low health and just avoiding Dark World for now.
Yeah, it doesn't look like much from Sasharashara's closet. Looks like it's just some money and a heart piece. Pachu is fluting over to Death Mountain. Nope, he's on to 5. Sorry, got a little froze there. He is actually going into Dark World from 5. And Cube is checking out the desert area.
Yeah, checking this out of the way Agina's Cave. Definitely with Flute, it's a lot quicker, but it's just one of those one-off locations that can sort of fester in the back of your mind if you don't check it. So having the Flute, Cube thinks it's worth it to, you know, take a stop here, which totally makes sense. Unfortunately, just finding additional leather for his bomb bag. Nothing much there.
Pachu taking a death here. Once again, showing that Dark World is just nothing to be messed with. We're going to go take a look at Dark Kakariko and Skull Woods, it looks like, from over here. I think Pachu is going back over into Eastern and Sash. He's probably going to check Sash first, but then maybe run into Eastern. There's still possibly 3 items. There's going to be at least 2 that they can access.
So yeah, this is really nice kind of seeing this variation we got going on. So at least on our end, we'll be seeing a lot more items getting found faster, which I think is pretty exciting.
We'll put our tracker to work here.
And some runners, when they first enter the Dark World over here in this Village of Outcasts area, opt to visit Skull Woods first. Other ones opt to go straight down into the Village of Outcasts area. Both plays definitely have merit, and especially with the low health, going into Skull Woods could be a pretty fatal dip. So definitely making sense. There's a lot more items to find in the Village of Outcasts, so going there first, totally get that.
Yeah, our runners can't access all of Skull Woods yet. They can't go in and kill Mothula. Now, that is only a green pendant, which, I mean, it is technically an item behind that. But Mothula is a very difficult boss when you're at low health. Those spikes will do damage, I think full-hearted damage, no matter what mail you're wearing.
Yeah, and in that bomb shed, we got ourselves a bug net.
I think our runners are finding every rupee drop they possibly can. They really want to find some sort of good combat item. Either an upgraded sword, upgraded mail, just some extra heart pieces would be nice at this point too.
And Cube now doing the Thieves Town play. What do you think about this?
It's a pendant Thieves Town, and Thieves Town has 4 items. At least check these first 4 chests. He can check every item in here. I like the play. If you're in the area, I say go ahead and do it. It's not like a swamp where if you're in the area, you may still not want to do swamp. But I think Thieves Town, you just do it basically every time. I've seen too many progression items in Thieves Town to not do it.
Fair enough. And over on Pachu's side, we have found the final shield upgrade on the eastern side of Eastern Palace.
Yeah, that can come in handy later on. There are a lot of times where, say like laser bridge, if you don't have magic to use your Canberna, can really come in handy. There's 300 more rupees for Pachu.
And this will be one of the first times in a while that I have seen a check of this vanilla big key chest in Eastern where it was not a sequence break. So that early lamp is a interesting little change of pace, I'll be honest, from what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, it does kind of hint at coming over here. Let's see if it pays off for Pachu.
And it's just going to be the compass, meaning that there is still an item to be found in Eastern Palace once these runners acquire the bow. So that's going to be something that Pachu's going to have to make sure not to forget.
Yeah, the bow is one of the items that is 100% required for every run. There's not very many of them. It's basically the bow, the moon pearl, both lift upgrades, some sort of light source usually. See here, and hook shot, and that's about it that I can think of.
So there's a total of 4 items in Thieves Town. Unfortunately, I was counting the Eastern items and missed out. Do you know how many we've seen so far in Thieves Town?
I think we've seen 2 so far.
Yeah, and I just saw when Cube paused the menu there with the big key, map, and compass in hand. That means these last 3 locations are going to be a key and the last 2 items of the dungeon. So Thieves Town requiring a full clear to get all 4 items out of it. That's a little rough if it doesn't pay off.
Yeah, I think that's more than a little rough, unless it happens to be something on the pedestal later on. Ooh, and there is Ice Rod that is going to be required, and for Trinex, there's only one part where you actually have to have an Ice Rod, and that's to kill Trinex, the boss of Turtle Rock. Which means that Ice Rod can literally be anywhere aside from on Trinex or in Ganda's Tower.
Well, that means for Pachu's sake, we better hope he steps into Thieves Town and full clears it as well, or that could be a significant advantage Cube has here in the race. And Blind coming in with his classic bad humor jokes, mentioning that he hasn't seen the eye doctor in years. You gotta love the jokes he is cracking wise these days.
And Cube showing off exactly how to kill Blind. That was just absolutely fantastic. Didn't even have to use his blue cane. But he gets a blue pendant for his trouble. Blind is one of I think the only boss that is 100% solved here. You can do the same thing every single time and you will kill him. Pachu is going to be making the same Thieves Town play. We haven't seen any racer go up to Death Mountain so far. There is only basically the Old Man and the Inside Spectacle Rock that they can access. But who knows? Like, this is Randomizer. Anything could be there.
Indeed, and good news for Pachu. It looks like we're seeing a full clear on his end, so it will not be slowed down by that ice rod.
Yeah, Ice Rod is always something you want to see early when Trinex is a required boss. You never want to see it early when Turtle Rock's dependent.
So these runners at this point doing a little bit of retracing each other's steps. Cube doing a save and quit. Let's see where he decides to head next. Possibly Death Mountain? Nope, still avoiding it, heading to the eastern area. Or not. Nope, pulling the flute back out. Never mind.
Duck having a little bit of accuracy problems there, it looked like. Going in and buying some potions, it looks like.
Now I'm wondering, do you think that's possibly for doing that minor glitch in Palace of Darkness? Because it looks like that's what Cube's thinking of doing. Heading in there.
I think that is probably what we are doing. That gets you a couple extra chests with a bunch of other places really to check. I don't know if I agree with doing this just for these 2 chests. Well, actually, he's got hammer, so he can get a little bit further. You can do basically everything except the basements. So yeah, the more I think about it, the more I do like it.
Yeah, if he does get anything nice in there that is like blocked by that bow area, that will be a sequence break. You kind of hinted at the idea of logic before. Do you want to kind of explain for our viewers kind of what that soul logic and sequence break stuff kind of is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way this is coded is that items will be locked behind other items. An item will never be locked behind itself. So, for instance, the bookshelf that you normally get the book on, that you have to use your boots to dash into, you'll never see the boots up there. You'll also never see anything up there that leads to the boots. So if Hookshot is up there, and boots will not be in Hookshot Cave, for instance. Everything is gettable. There's a few small chests that can be kind of like the key can be locked inside them. But overall, like, these racers will be able to access everything in the game. Yeah.
Which really comes down to like boiling down a lot of thinking of, okay, how can we write all this so that when the randomizer program puts items everywhere, how do we make sure that there are no sort of seeds that sort of soft lock themselves and become unbeatable? And that is just a lot of sort of stuff to, like, little pieces to put together, and it's really impressive that they were able to kind of get all the logic in such a way that it all works out. So Pachu taking down Blind, getting that blue pendant for their trouble. Got that ice rod from the big chest. So we'll see where he decides to go next. As Cube finds the big key in its vanilla location, I believe, in the Palace of Darkness. So definitely nice to find earlier so you don't find yourself in the back of the dungeon and unable to open the big chest.
Yeah, it looks like that pod was not bow locked. So they can go in and get most everything in there. If it was bow locked, that's what you would have to come to the back here. It looks like he's still going to try to do that little glitch with the potions.
So do you fully understand the details of this potion glitch?
Not at all.
I've tried to learn a little bit. It has to do with drinking a potion while you're moving causes the screen to stop scrolling after you go through the door, and then you get the red enemy off screen. Possibly, like, it's either you get the red one off and defeat the 2 green ones, or you get all of them off screen, and the game sees, oh, there's no enemies on screen anymore, therefore you must have killed them all. I'll let you go through the door now.
Yeah, it's not so much that they're dead. The game just registers them as not on the screen. Normally, that screen is 100% in the game. Like, you don't move left or right on that screen at all. But doing the potion kind of lets you move the camera over to the right. And we just saw silvers on the bumper cave ledge. That is very interesting.
Now the question is, if these runners find Cape, will they decide to go back for that or not?
I've seen too many races decided by silvers, so I absolutely 100% would.
Now, would you do it if you found Cape in Ganon's tower, though?
I am not as good as a lot of these racers, so I'm not the best at silverless Ganon. It's something I got to practice with. Which, if you do want to practice this game, there is a great practice ROM out there.
And this basement, this dark basement area for Cube, really paying off, finding both the book and the mirror downstairs in Pod.
What a place to find the mirror. The dungeon that you most want the mirror for. Wasting all that time, and then getting the mirror in the back of it.
And also you saw Cube opted to skip opening one locked door that leads to one more chest. I believe due to his understanding of the logic, he knows that the chest back there possibly has to have a key, because if it didn't, he wouldn't, because if he opened that door, maybe he wouldn't have access to this maze room or something like that. I'm wondering if that's what he's thinking, or just didn't go through here. They opted not to go there.
So Pachu take it looks like an intentional death there in Skull Woods. I didn't quite catch it. It may not have been intentional, but thankfully he's not losing a lot of time from it.
And our tracker Ace here confirming for me that in this seat in particular, yeah, that key, that door that Cube did not go through was guaranteed to be a key based on the way the rest of the dungeon was set up. So Cube just kind of doing a little bit of extra knowledge of the way the randomizer has to place things to avoid any sort of soft lock by running out of keys. And yeah, good on Cube's end for knowing that little bit of knowledge to save a little bit of time routing through the dungeon.
Yeah, going into Pod seems to have been a really good play. Both Book and Mirror were in that little repeat room at the bottom. Just a great little find there. That does open up Desert as fully completable. Well, maybe not. If there's a key or a big key on the torch, it will not be completable yet.
However, that Mirror and Book does get them access to Death Mountain, like the top area by up to Hera, and the hammer can get them to the east side as well. And with the book, they'll at least be able to, Cube will be able to see what's on the tablet, but will not be able to get the item unless he gets a sword upgrade first.
Looks like only 50 on top of Spectacle Rock. Heart piece in Spectacle Rock. Let's go see what Tower of Hera has.
And an interesting location these runners will have to keep in mind as well is Spike Cave. That's one that can be oft forgotten if you route the rest of Death Mountain in a certain way. It just ends up being left behind as a one-off location. So,
and I believe that is in logic at the moment with Half Magic, Canterburna, and Hammer.
Very true.
Looks like the Ether tablet up here only has Couch Cash. Not anything of import. Pachu grabbing that safety fairy. That's good there because he is going to Spike.
Which definitely makes sense as a play to him, for him, given that he has not gotten that Mirror and Book, having not dipped into Pod yet.
And Cube happily finding the big key in the second chest of Hera. And there's a Master Sword for Pachu. That's a cool grab. Yeah, all these 8 bomb drops. Our racers are never going to be hurting for bombs. Cube's got 30 on them at the moment.
For sure. One thing I'm seeing chat's noting, we found the shovel on the right side of the Palace of Darkness, and that was one of those chests that was logically blocked by the bow, meaning that even though through glitches we had access to it, the game does not expect you to get there without having the item like the bow. There's a couple other tricks that you can gain access to locations without certain items, but the game never requires you to. But because of that, that kind of guarantees, like, at least in one location, because the logic expects you to have the bow before getting that shovel, we know that the bow can't be at the shovel spot. So that's like an example of needing to keep in mind sort of sequence breaks and like, where can't I find something because this item was out of logic or something like that.
Yeah, for instance, like if the shovel leaves the hook shot at the dig spot, we know that we won't find bow, say, like in the back half of Swamp Palace or in Hookshot Cave, for instance. It's like Cube is taking on Moldworm, probably my least favorite boss from any video game ever. Just gives me all kinds of levels of anxiety.
For sure, and with only a fighter sword and hammer being the stronger option here to defeat him, makes it look easy, but my experience, the hitbox for the hammer can be really troublesome to get used to. So definitely showing some prowess getting through Trolldorm real quick.
Getting a blue bottle for his efforts there. That is both items in Hera. He gets the crystal, but nothing really of value in Hera itself aside from that. He's going to go check out the right side of Death Mountain. Probably going to start out here with Spiral Cave. I'll probably check the floating island first, see what's on there. And just some bombs. And we'll be able to do Spiral Cave here without boots. Always a slog, always slow.
I gotta say, 43 minutes in and not having found Titan's mitts yet, that's a little surprising.
Well, there's a lot they haven't found yet. And let's see what Spiral Cave gives them for all that trouble. And there are the mitts. What's the best thing you got? And it is mitts.
Definitely a great place to find that, because now Cube can just route in Dark Death Mountain right alongside Light World Death Mountain at the same time. See, just going straight into the Dark World without hesitation there.
And Pachu is now going to head into the back half here of Pod, and he is going to get his mirror in his book. Cube going to check the 7 items here on Light World Death Mountain.
In the Paradox Cave, which is a fun little cave where inside the cave you head upstairs and then you can fall back down, but if you look at the cave entrances from the outside, you are actually falling up to a higher location. So fun little cave to deal with.
And big news, hookshot in Paradox Cave.
So Death Mountain is just telling them, like, it's like, visit Death Mountain to get the Titan's Mitt to look at more of Death Mountain, and there's another sword upgrade too. And then, like, while they're also getting hookshot to visit even more of Death Mountain. So if any runner was like tempted to not go here yet because they were limited in options, that's unfortunately going to hold them back, because they need the items from inside of Death Mountain to get more of Death Mountain.
I think that is everything on Death Mountain for them. They can check Dark World Death Mountain while they're over here because they had Mirror and they had access to Tower of Hera from the top, so they're going to be checking Super Bunny Cave here. Cube missing the little hook shot, not necessarily a glitch, but the hook shot clip there.
Yeah, it's a tight one to get, so no shame in missing it. So it's interesting to see that these two runners are at Master Sword, but off of different progressive sword locations here. So we'll see if either one checks the other one's spot to get the sword upgrade. Pachu most likely going to get tempered from Death Mountain, but Cube going to Spike Cave seems a little less likely, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, he's right up there next to it. I'm going to give a quick check to see what metal that Turtle Rock needs. It's like it will need Bombos to get into. And here's the hookshot cave that I've used in 2 different examples so far.
I think my favorite chest in here is the first one because technically if you have the boots, that first chest is in logic to access, so the hookshot could be found within Hookshot Cave there, just because of boots bonking over gaps.
Let's see if he, looks like he is going to go over here to Spike Cave. I was going to say let's see if he remembers to check tablet, but I forgot that he already actually read the tablet. Pachu's going to do his Death Mountain run here as well.
And so Pachu heading into Hera now. Their second dungeon, unfortunately, only their first crystal though. But yeah, gonna be nice to finally get their first crystal. Hopefully within 1 hour of the run.
Yeah, this run has been relatively linear outside of getting that flute early, but just not terribly too much in like great progression items so far. Cube has a lot more open to him now that he has the Titan Smiths, though.
Are we looking at a swamp play here, possibly?
I don't think Cube's been to Hype Cave yet.
I feel like you might have, but either way, we'll find out shortly here.
Oh, no, I think he has, yeah. Can't remember what was actually in Hype Cave. That tells you how important it actually was for this race.
I believe it was mostly money, because it was one of those earlier checks we were seeing. Alright, but yeah, with Mirror, is it maybe going to the shovel spot?
Yep, he's going to go see what's in that shovel spot. There could be something big here if it's outside of logic, and this is a good item like the bow or the boots. Or fire rod. Well, it won't be bow. Never mind. It's just bombs. And Pachu's going to go check out Moldorm. And knocks him into the middle hole immediately. Man, Moldorm, why you gotta do a thing?
Of course, you never want to fall to Trolldorm, but you especially never want to fall down that middle hole, having to go up 2 floors. It's always a pain. And Cube thinking, all right, enough's enough with these overworld checks. Let's visit our next crystal dungeon, which with 6 items within Swamp Palace, definitely could be a lucrative location to find some goodies.
It could. It's very item dense, but doing a full clear of swamp is something that a lot of racers don't want to do. If you do a go mode of swamp, it takes maybe 3 minutes. Going through a full clear can take upwards of like 7 or 8.
Very true, and I have seen runners in the past opt to just entirely skip the left side of the dungeon, which has only 2 chests in it, even if after they check the back of it, they are still missing 1 or 2 items of the dungeon. So that's always one of those things that if I see it happen, I get a little nervous just because it's well, what if something was there? But we'll see Cube sort of train of thought heading through this dungeon here. Meanwhile, Pachu's going to be happy with their next few items they find in this Death Mountain area, especially the Hookshot and Titan's Mitt. Titan's Mitt coming from this slog of a spiral cave, because neither runner has found boots yet. And I see Cube's got Butter Sword now. Was that from the first chest, or technically the second chest there in Swamp?
I think so. I missed it. My stream's a little choppy, but I think it came from Swamp. I'm almost positive it did.
I don't think there was anywhere else that could have been, but yeah. So that is all 4 progressive sword locations found, and there's Hookshot for Pachu. So going to be able to head up to Hookshot Cave shortly after here.
There's the bombos that's required for Total Rock.
He just went straight to the back. You think he's committing to a left side skip, or just doing the back first and then maybe coming back later for the left side?
I would go ahead and finish Swamp and skip the left side, and maybe come back and do the left side if you don't find anything anywhere else. You still got a lot of locations to check.
That is very true. Because, this back of Swamp is pretty dense with chests.
I mean, you could feasibly go into Ice Palace. That's not ideal. Where's the pendant? You can go into Desert. You can full clear Desert at this point, aside from the boots. So as long as there's not a key on those torches, on that torch, you're fine with Desert. Actually, you can mirror over to Mire and clear Desert without needing the small key.
Yeah, the only thing that would bar that is if the big key's on the bunk torch, I believe, right?
Right. Yep.
So with that one last chest before the boss here in Swamp being, I believe, was a compass, that means that 1, possibly 2 items are going to be on left side of Swamp here, or in the big chest, depending on what kind of drop we get from Vitreous, I believe. I always get this one and Argus mixed up because they both end in yes.
Well, they're also the only 2 bosses with big eyeballs, right? I mean, no other boss in the game has eyeballs.
Cold Stare, though, right?
Most bosses, I think, have giant eyeballs at this point. And Argus causing a death there on ZzCube, taking him to the school in the car of pain.
Yeah, that fairy, which looks like it was, I think from Pachu's side I saw it was, oh, there's our boots. Nice.
Oh, what a find.
Yeah, the fairy kept him from having to redo the entire dungeon. So there's 1 item left in Swamp with boots. That's a pretty good running. We'll see if Cube wants to run back in with them and get that 1 more item in here. He's happy with his spoils, so let's hope for Cube's sake nothing big's on left side of Swamp.
This little boots that just keeps saying, "Here comes a special boy," as he runs around. We'll see what's on this Bombos tablet. We are seeing a Meyer play here.
And I believe, looks like our tracker marked it was Ether is our Meyer medallion too, which we still got to find that one.
When I was watching the Bombos tablet, I didn't get a chance to see what was in Meyer's shed. But it looks like important items, single arrow and 20 rupees.
And on Pachu's side, we're seeing just a little more quiver leather and checkerboard cave there, so nothing too special up there.
This is going to be big for Cube if Desert Palace is boots locked.
For sure. And Desert Palace has 2 non-dungeon items in it. The interesting thing is if it's just a key up on the bonk torch up here, Pachu would still be able to complete this dungeon, possibly, depending on where the big key ends up. It's just the compass, so I don't have to worry about it now. But it just would be interesting to see, like, if Pachu has to leave the right side and not be able to check it, but that's not even the case here, so it doesn't matter.
So in terms of our possible pedestal plays, we could have a bow on pedestal, we could have a red cane on pedestal, we can have ether on pedestal. We cannot have fire rod, as that requires Skullwoods, and Skullwoods is a pendant. Ooh, there's blue mail, the first mail upgrade of the game for Pachu. And Cube's about to get it as well.
And a little split here is Pachu's checking the big chest to see if the second item is there, whereas Cube just says, I want to beat Landmolus and get out of here.
There was the second item. It is just a pizza heart.
So it's interesting to see Cube's routing. This is like the second dungeon where he's deliberately left some parts of the dungeon behind just to head straight to the boss. We'll see if, at least in Desert, being a shorter dungeon, if Cube opts to go back for that big chest once he finds it's just going to be the map on Landmolus here.
Yeah, one of the design decisions I really like in Link to the Past in general is that your first 3 bosses, so your boss of Eastern, your boss of Desert, and your boss of Terra, are just big versions of enemies you fought in the first Legend of Zelda. You fought Moldorms, you fought Lamolas, and you fought Armos Knights. It kind of like lulls you into this sense of like, well, you don't really know what the Dark World is the first time you play it. And then you go to the Dark World and you get these 7 other bosses that are all like brand new things that you've never seen before. Huge sprites. Really, really cool.
That is definitely a aesthetic worth appreciating of this game. And a Cube making quick work of Landmolus with that butter sword, and Pachu only having tempered, still getting him down pretty fast.
Yeah, those spin slashes will do a little bit of extra damage. Funny note, those spin slashes were only added to the game pretty late. They wanted to add a diagonal slash to the game instead, but it just got too awkward, so they just decided like, oh, let's just do a charged spin. and that has become a genuine staple of the Zelda series ever since. And Pachu's
little factoid. Nice.
Pachu's got 1,991 rupees the year that this game came out.
Unfortunately, I don't have any clever historical facts about the year 1475 on a Cube side.
And we still don't have a magic cape to check those silvers. Looks like Cube is going to go to Bonk Rocks.
Yeah, with this location, King's Tomb and somewhere else, maybe not. I was gonna say there in King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge. That's a few locations nearby each other.
Oh, Cube did not check Aghanim Ledge beforehand. He went straight to Kakariko.
So yeah, just trying to get a little bit of knowledge real quick, assuring himself that this is not an Aghanim seed now that he's got the boots, but finding out, okay, no, don't need to worry about that. Just a quick little check to route in while also setting up for those boots and mirror locked locations over by the sanctuary.
It's like Pachu's now making the swamp play. He'll find his boots there. He'll find his better sword there. But for every second that Cube has boots that Pachu doesn't, that is just extending that lead.
However, if Pachu does do left side of swamp and it ends up having something big, that could be something that could turn this entire race over on its head, depending on what it ends up being.
You just saw Pachu do a neat little glitch that's only available in this early version of the game, making that block disappear. If you're in a non-dungeon location, in a non-Dark World overworld location, and you need to push a block, if you use the mirror at the same time, you'll push, but the block will just disappear, and you can just move right through it. Do not do that in a dungeon. That is how I ended up getting a 3-hour time in my first ever race, because I did that at the back half of Swamp.
Sounds a little rough, but yeah, things like that happen at times.
We're going to be seeing King's Tomb here. Pachu picking up his better sword. And there's the fire rod in King's Tomb. Cube is probably just going to go right back over to Dark Skull Woods. We still haven't seen either of these racers go over to Zora yet.
Now, the interesting thing about that fire rod is it's the last item we needed to make pedestal a viable option here, because now they have everything they need to complete all pedestal locations. And it looks like Cube is going to sort of get all that sorted out for us right now. We're getting a pedestal check.
Come on. Well, I hope it's mushroom. I hope it's mushroom or dust. Ah. Just a little piece of heart.
Powder would have been a crazy find on the off chance that the magic bat had something, and a fake powder could have made you skip a pedestal seed.
I think mushroom is like the #1 item I never want to see like on there or on Lumberjack Cave, just because you're like, oh god, do I really actually need this or do I not? Oh, and Pachu is making the left side of swamp play. Looks like Cube is going to be doing a little bit of the Jeremiah was a full bullfrog quest.
Now, there's definitely a fair amount of items between Peg Cave, turning in Jeremiah, getting the purple chest, and if we find powder anytime soon, you could route Magic Bat in there as well. So definitely a nice little, somewhat dense set of items, locations to check here.
That is just a very satisfying sound, doing a hammer dash on the pegs.
For sure. That was when I first figured out how to do that. That was like one of my favorite discoveries ever.
Let's see what the blacksmith is making today. They're making the gift of life.
And this could be the moment of truth with what's in this chest over here for Pachu. It's going to be the compass. Nope. You have to see what's in the big chest. The suspense continues on what this last Swamp Palace item is.
Cube only finding a big 20 in his purple chest. I feel like that chest is coated in Crisco sometimes. That's how easy it is to just let it slip away. I think Cube is going to go ahead and finish Skullwoods up here. I can't remember if Pachu got any items when he was in it earlier. I believe he got at least one. Big chest, just 20 rupees in Swamp Palace. So Pachu wasting some time in there.
At the very least, Pachu will have some peace of mind, because there's always that possibility that while Cube's looking for that last Go Mode item, he may find himself revisiting Swamp, wondering if that was the one item he missed at some point. That might be towards the bottom of his list, which will be good for him, but it's always something that'll at least be festering in the back of his mind.
Yeah, if he has to possibly make a choice between like that or going into Pendant Ice Palace or something. And Cube giving us a good look at my most hated enemy in the game, the Gibdos. They just take so much damage unless you have a Fire Rod or Silvers.
Yeah, fortunately, I believe with Butter, it's also 2 slashes to kill him, and we've got that today. So definitely at this point, these runners are in a pretty good spot, items-wise, like safety items and strength items.
And Cube's going to get a green pendant off of this. We know that the pedestal's not required. Something still could be behind Sasarasha Rara. He almost got grabbed by the Wallmaster there.
And Cube cutting through those vines, that's one of those locations that always slips my mind, that actually getting to Mothula is sword locked. Like even if you have Fire Rod, you can't get back here unless you have sword, which is one of those little things in the logic that I tend to take for granted sometimes.
So Mothula here, actually able to be damaged by the Butter Sword. I believe in the and there's Magic Cape. That gives them Silver's access. In the original game, the Butter Sword was coded to do, I believe, the same amount of damage as Spikes. And Mothula is immune to Spikes, which made him immune to the Butter Sword. In Randomizer, you may necessarily have the Butter Sword by the time you fight Mothula. So our devs had to actually change that to where he could actually get damaged.
And I believe Butter Sword does tempered sword damage to Mothula, and that's the way they sort of patched it in.
Yep. He still takes no damage if you're on the Spikes. But it's still something. Looks like Cube is going to go ahead and get this back chest here. It's only got a small key in it. I think he may have just miscounted the items.
And as you noted, that was Cape we found on Mothula, which really, of all places to find it, this is a really good one, because from Skull Woods, you can route a quick check over to that Bumper Cave real quick to get those silvers, as long as Cube remembers that's there. Which I believe both of these runners have seen what's on Bumper Cave Ledge, correct?
I believe they both have, yeah.
And when it comes to counting items with the Skull Woods, it might be the case. Yeah, it looks like Cube actually went to the back of Skull Woods first, so there's his second item, and now he knows he's done with Skull Woods.
No, we're getting our second look there at Graveyard Ledge Cave. That cave has undone many erasers' chances in this tournament. Just 5 rupees there.
And Pachu showing off that nifty little trick with King's Tomb, where if you kind of come at it sideways holding your sword out, you won't sort of rebound off of a bonk on it, and you'll just kind of open it with your side. It's a nice little trick to save time. It just looks a little cool.
Yeah, that's one I always have a lot of trouble pulling off. Like, I can either pull it off first try, or I will never pull it off. And getting almost a brief high five for our racers there.
And Cube's gonna turn in that green pendant. We'll see if that's gonna be a big payout or not.
Oh, and red mail, it's nice to have, but it's not necessarily what they're looking for. But they can come in handy. Pachu did not check Catfish earlier. He's going to be checking that, and then probably going up and paying the troll toll to our old Zora King.
And so yeah, Mothula and Skull Woods just being a dungeon that leads to a whole bunch of safety items, because they got Cape and which Cape then led to silvers, and they got the green pendant, which led to red mail. So it's a nifty little set of safeties to find. Not required, but definitely potential advantage that Cube might have if Pachu never dips Skull Woods, the backside at least.
Well, Cube hasn't been into Eastern yet, so Cube doesn't know there's really not much here.
Yeah, we'll be getting that shield upgrade, but that's about as far as it gets.
And let's see what Zora has for Pachu. Just a big piece of heart. Not anything you'll find on eBay Platinum Reserve there.
We're starting to run out of locations that we haven't seen across these two runners. There's Ice Palace. Do you know what else we have that hasn't been checked yet?
I think Ice Palace, like, you got to go into Ice Palace. You still need an Ether. You still need a bow. You still need a Red King. Now, bow could be into a rock. Bow is probably a Mimic Cave if I'm going to be a betting man. But man, Ice Palace it will either lead to Mire, and you'll find Red Cane there, or you'll get Red Cane that will take you up to T-Rock. I think Pachu is trying to figure that out himself here.
So is it? It's just bow, ether, and red cane. Those are our go mode items at this point, correct?
Those are our go mode items, and neither racer knows where any of those are.
So if you were in their shoes, which one would you want to find first, do you think? Or which one are you hoping you don't find first, possibly? I don't know which one's the better question here.
For Cube, I wouldn't want to find the bow first, just because he's got the silvers, and can make short work out of a lot of enemies, especially Vitreous. Vitreous has the highest HP in the game. That's not necessarily a term we use a lot when we're talking about Zelda, but Silvers do 100 points of damage on the back end HP. Vitreous has 128 HP. It takes 2 Silvers to kill him. Only Ganon has more. Looks like they are both making the Ice Palace play here. This is absolutely the right play. Let's just see where it pays off for him.
Yeah, and kind of thinking about those questions, I think the item, if I were either of these runners, I'd be most afraid to find would be the cane, because once I get that, I have the entirety of Turtle Rock, which is a huge dungeon that you never want to have to double dip if you can avoid it, you know?
Yeah, you don't want to have to double dip it, but they've got both Ice and Fire Rod. They wouldn't have to double dip it.
That is true, I suppose. Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Meyer is the one that they would be double dipping if they find Ether in here. They might find Ether that leads to Bow and Meyer that leads to Red Cane, like on Helmasaur or Armos.
Wouldn't that be a fun kind of thing to deal with?
No. As much as I hated this dungeon playing through the game normally, Ice Palace is probably my favorite dungeon now in terms of Randomizer. There's a lot of cool tricks you can do here. Pun 100% intended. Especially the Stalfos room. This is just a really cool play to pull off. And Pachu does not pull it off, his cube does. And Cube is going to show off the Ice Palace bomb jump. There are a number of bomb jumps you can do in Ice Palace. This is the Ice Palace bomb jump. If you are planning on running this rando, this is definitely something that you want to learn.
And both runners getting it first try. That is a very impressive thing to just set up real quick. So kudos to both of them for that.
Yeah, once you know the tricks and the tells, it's not a very difficult jump, but it can save a ton of time. Neither racer finding a key early, so they will be going around the long way. Pachu retakes the Ice Palace lead there. And Cube finding that small key, and he's going to go back up. I like that play a little bit better than what Pachu's doing now. And there is the first of our items here. Just a small piece of heart. See what's up here in the normal big key chest. Sanctuary Heart is up there in the big key chest.
That only leaves one more item to be found in this dungeon, and we're pretty certain something has to be here at this point.
Let's see, it's not in the IST room. Let's check the ICU room. Otherwise, it's on Cold Stare. Oh, and there is the bow. The bow is in the ICU room. That opens up both Eastern and Pod to be fully completable. And with Silver's, Cube is going to be loving that. I do not think we will see Pachu go back up to Skull Woods at any point.
That is most likely going to be the case, because that bow only leads to, like, finishing off Eastern and Palace of Darkness and nothing else. So we're going to have to find the next progression at the back end of one of those two dungeons, and then that's either going to be what Ether, Kane, or some kind of fetch quest to lead to one of those. And then what could lead Pachu astray is once they get that second item, possibly they might consider Skullwoods while looking for the third one. But looking a little linear for both of these runners for now, at least.
Yeah, and with the mirror, Eastern and Pod are both right there. You can finish one and immediately go to the other.
And Pachu's finishing out Ice Palace. They've already gotten all 3 items here, but they have not checked pedestal, so they might just be setting up for a pedestal gamble here.
Pachu didn't grab the bow yet. There we go.
That is correct. He's not too happy about it, though. He's about as unhappy about it as I am confused about it, because I forgot where they were. But now still going through. Now was my statement correct? Can I be right now?
I believe so. Gutsy gamble by Pachu.
Unfortunately, we know it's not going to pay off. However, Pachu might be feeling a little behind after maybe some of the plays they've been making or something, or just want to do a gamble just because they think it'll be the thing to give them the lead or something. But yeah, it's just might be worth asking about if we get him in for a post-run interview.
Yeah, keep in mind, this is a 2-2 race. Every racer who is 5-2 will get into the full tournament. Only very few racers that are 4-3 will make it there in case of any dropouts or any other weird situations. This is essentially a loser is out race. And what a great cold stare by Pachu. That was super fast.
So you thinking the next progression is going to be here in Eastern or over in Pod?
I can't remember. I think an item does have to be on Armos. I mean, they only have one item on each of them. They're both on the boss. I would say it's probably in Eastern.
Just to kind of counter you, I'll put my vote on a Pod. We'll find out in a couple seconds here.
And there's the red cane. I mean, Ether could be on Pod still.
That's very true. This is why I don't gamble, though, because I'm always off. And that being their second 5/6 crystal does open up one more location for them for 2 more chests, that being the Pyramid Fairy. So that could be another place where they might stumble into Ether.
Yeah, that's why I like Cube doing Pod second here. He can just leave Pod and dash right over there to the bomb shop and pick that up and take it over to Pyramid. Cube taking just a little bit of a break here while he waits for the wall to move.
We can see a little variation because Cube got that red cane from Armos. They were able to use the red cane to hit the switch to open the door in here, whereas Pachu, opting to go into Pod first, Palace of Darkness first, is forced to push the little statue on there. It's just a little bit faster for Cube. Just interesting little thing paying off there. Purely, like, we had no idea going in which one would be the faster one, but interesting how that works out this time around.
I did, because I got it right. You can see the 17 hits with the hammer here on Helmasaur's mask. Helmasaur does have kind of erratic movement, so it does take a little bit to get that arrow right there on him. But Cube does a great job there, and let's see what old Helmy King drops. Just a map. So he did find all the items here in Pod.
Oh, well, that was doomed from the start then. Yeah, so these last few items to go mode are really just sort of holding their hand, telling them where to go next, because that bow led to the cane, and now this cane, the only other new thing it gave them is Turtle Rock. So Cube's saying, well, that's where I gotta go next, and pretty sure somewhere along the way up Turtle Rock we'll either find Ether or some fetch quest item leading us to Ether. Or that Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, cane is one of those items that, like, can possibly be 100% required. Even if both Meyer and Turtle Rock are in pendants, it's required to get to the right side of Ganon's Tower. And man, it is the worst feeling in the world to not have cane, have 7 crystals, and clear out the entire left side of Ganon's Tower and not find a big key.
I've had that once where the medallion to get into Meyer was in Ganon's Tower, and the red cane was in Misery Mire. So you had to double dip Ganon's Tower. It was a blast.
The dream. I'm still waiting for big key on Ganon Torch. That Boots is behind, like, Shovel, which is on pedestal. But you need red cane, which is in Ganon's Tower.
Remind me to never do any plandomizers you may ever construct.
I wouldn't be that rough. But we are getting our first look at Turtle Rock here. A room that is full of speedrunners' favorite things, which are basically auto-scrollers.
Yeah, this is one of those dungeons where go moding it versus full clearing it, really not that much of a time difference, which for that reason I do like Cube's choice of going here before Pyramid Fairy in search for Ether Medallion, just because if it's not at the Pyramid Fairy, then that's time wasted, but if it's not here and then doing Pyramid Fairy second, didn't really lose too much time in Turtle Rock doing the full clear as opposed to go mode.
Yeah, there's not really much of a difference between blasting through Turtle Rock and then taking your time with it. Yeah, this should be good here. And plus, you have 6 items here in Turtle Rock. Technically, you only have 5 in the dungeon itself, but Mimic Cave is accessible only from Turtle Rock. So kind of count that as the 6th. There's Pachu's red cane.
Now, the unfortunate thing for Pachu is that, assuming they decide to go to Turtle Rock with that red cane, they won't be visiting Skull Woods before being in go mode, so Pachu won't be seeing the Silvers or Red Mail or Cape, which is unfortunately going to give them a disadvantage as they make their way through Ganon's Tower.
I really hope Pachu knows Silverless Ganon. That is one thing you should absolutely learn before joining a tournament.
With butter, it's not the worst thing, but of course everyone would rather do silvers as opposed to silverless.
The timing can be just a little wonky. Pachu learning that you can't just jump over that like a Tony Hawk pro skater flip trick. Gotta have the hook shot to get over that bridge. You get a chance to see Robo Bunny. This very Mario themed dungeon here. We got pokies, we got chain chomps, we got tubes.
And with half magic, I'm liking the use of the fire rod to make quick work of those pokies, burning them to the ground there.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Those pokies can be tricky buggers. And Cube deciding not to do Mimic Cave.
I think that was like a quick little lapse of memory, or just wanted to check that maybe wanting to check that big chest first in case Ether was there.
There he goes. He remembered it. Just a arrow upgrade there, so didn't really save him anything. Get a good blue cane dash there from Pachu.
Did you possibly catch what was in that last chest there before the Stark room?
Small key.
Guess that had to be required, because if not, they wouldn't be able to get through that door. In this chain chomp room, causing Pachu a little bit of trouble. These chain chomps really do hit hard, so you got to be careful when getting around to this chest and through the door.
It can be tricky, that room. That's a very dangerous room, especially with anything less than red mail.
We got a heart container and another bottle on Laser Bridge so far. Sprite pouch, so might be doing a Batman check here soon. And just a red rupee. So the hunt for Ether continues.
We are on our way over here to Trinex.
Unfortunately, not pausing and swapping to Fire Rod before taking out the first head. Still is able to freeze the ice head before it puts any ice on the ground. But missing that fastest phase, like a fast phase, but not by too much. Still gets down the first two heads down pretty darn fast there. Onto this last little snake phase real quick.
Let's see what old Trinex drops for us.
And just the compass, so we've already seen all the items up before then. Yeah, now it's time for a couple of overworld checks, hopefully to find that ether pretty soon.
We got Pyramid Fairy is basically the only place I can really think. They might find Mushroom there. Oh, they can check Mad Batter as well.
My vote's for that batter just because I love whenever you get the powder to check the Bat Cave, but also based on how my streak's been recently, it's probably not going to be there. But we'll find out momentarily.
And we are going to be cursed with Go Mode. 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 9 seconds in, and we are in Go Mode.
That is a curse I would take any day.
And Cube is making his way directly over here to Meyer.
So it is really interesting to see how these last 3 items to Go Mode really did sort of lead one to the next, from getting that bow, sending us to Eastern, giving us the Red Cane, sending us to Turtle Rock, to giving us the powder, to giving us Ether, to finish off Misery Mire here.
And Pachu's really not that far behind. He basically just needs to finish up Turtle Rock here, and he is maybe a minute and a half from that. He does only have half of a heart.
I believe I saw a fairy in a bottle in his pocket at least. So there was that if he happens to get hit by anything along the way to Trinex here or at Trinex.
He does have the magic powder as well, so there's some anti-fairies in here that he can just powder up and eat.
Indeed. And there you have it, Pachu making quick work using that powder shortly after finding it. Nice little find.
Good kill.
Good timing for it.
Good kill on the anti-fairy.
Yeah, they can be... Oh, missing that last second fairy, though.
And Cube is basically just looking for the big key at this point.
Yeah, the hunt for the big key in Go Mode in Mire can sometimes just lead to Misery Mire Go Mode being nothing different than a full clear, which is a little frustrating, but there are also times when it's like the first chest you check and you have an awesome Go Mode Mire. But so far, looking like one of those more trollier Go Mode Mires.
They don't call it Misery Mire for nothing. It's really wet. There's that big key.
Could have been better, could have been worse. I'll consider that like an average Go Mode Mire.
Now, let's see if Pachu goes to Mad Batter or Pyramid Fairy first. Pachu is doing Pyramid Fairy. We know there's not really anything there that he could possibly want. It would be a shame if he gets Mushroom there.
Yeah, that's one thing that could really like lead him astray a little bit at this point. There is also the chance that Pachu opts to check other locations like Skull Woods that he hasn't been to before. Hopefully, for his sake, that is not what we see, and he instead opts to just follow the logic of the most recently found items.
Pachu was taking this big bomb over to Pyramid Fairy's house, up all these stairs to where the Pyramid Fairy is protected.
And 2 arrows to the big eye, and Cube is completed Mire, which means it's time for everyone's favorite little mini game here.
There are 22 locations in Gannis Tower where the big key could possibly be. Feel free to put your guess in the chat. We are running this on the ALTTP Randomizer Q channel, so we do not have the leaderboard, but just for bragging rights, post where you think it's going to be.
You have any favorite locations yourself?
I'm going to say it'll be right side, it will be those last 4 chests on the right side, and it will be in the bottom left chest.
Interesting. If I had to pick a number, I would say 3, and that's just because my favorite location is that bonk torch. So I'm hoping it'll be there, and maybe they won't get a key in the first 2 chests and won't be able to check right side.
I think Pachu is going to do. He is aiming to do probably the bullfrog and the smithies here. Hopefully, he will go ahead and hop down into Mad Batter while he's over there.
Yeah, I think Pachu knows to route that in. Because I just realized, like, that's 1 more item in his list of things to get around here, so probably thinking something's got to be in one of these spots. Yeah, and as we were talking about the big key game there, Pachu checking the Pyramid Fairy, getting 2 big 20s, and that's about it. So really nothing of interest there, unfortunately.
We only have 5 guesses here for the for the Gannis Tower Big Key guessing game.
Nice, that makes it easier for us to track if we want to check and see who's closest.
Oh, there we go. There's another guess. Chest 1, small key. Chest 2, small key. And Cube decided to go ahead and check out the left side instead of going on to the right side.
All right, here comes that bonk torch. What are we going to find?
Quake on the bonk torch.
That looks like it's worth getting. Just fill out your inventory a little bit, right? And Pachu heading out of the bat cave there, ether in hand. Hour 43 minutes in. Pachu is in go mode.
Chest 4, bombs. Chest 5, small key. Chest 6, pizza heart. Chest 7, big heart. Having a little trouble with the stealth boost there. It wasn't until I started running randomizer I realized that those little pea shooters only shoot when you use a weapon.
I knew there was some trigger to them. I did not realize that's what it was. That is good knowledge to know.
Chest 8, big 20. Going over here into Fire Snake Room. See what we got in here in chest number 9 here.
And on Pachu's side, as he entered Mire, we got to look at what the stun item was for frozen enemies, as he smashes the frozen murdered Dactyl with a hammer, and it dropped a fairy.
So nothing much in chest 9. We got chest 10 through 13 here in the rando room. Room that you will never see in the standard play. Red rupee. Map. Green rupee. Pizza heart. Cube did get that map, so he does know his way around Ganon's tower now.
So we got 4 checks left here before this ends up being a right side big key.
Here in the invisible floor room. Really neat little just skip that you can do for that entire thing. Just bonk off one of those pots, and you are right where you need to be. We're here at Bob's chest now. This will be number 14. At 20 rupees and murdering Bob. He just gets replaced by another fairy over on the left. And we are at Ice Armos.
Being that the second Bob, would that be like a Bob Jr. that shows up there?
Just 15 has the big key. We had nobody guess 15, but it looks like Philion guessed 14, so congratulations, Philion. In the vanilla location.
And with 2 small keys in hand, Cube is able to make his way up Ganon's tower without a problem. You do need to go up with at least 1 and possibly grabbing a second from a mini Helmosaur higher up in here, or else you end up getting trapped up at the top without keys and possibly have to mirroring back to the bottom and redoing the entire gauntlet.
I've seen at least 2 races that have been restreamed so far where the game was decided because the one racer did not go up with enough keys.
And Philion, you win Pride for the next, we'll say, 3 minutes and 28 seconds. It sort of fizzles out after that.
Using Fire Rod strats here in the gauntlet starting out. Between Silver's Fire Rod and Butter Sword, they should have pretty much no issues.
And Pachu pulling out that powder one last time, getting a full health refill to enter this fight using some blue cane strats. Interesting option to get through here.
Let's see how low we can get that frame rate. Cube's over here to Lamola 2. First Lamola had giving him no issues. Second one getting the 2 Fire Rod shots on. And third one, a Spin Slash with Butter and a Fire Rod shot will take him down. So very quick there. He is on his way up to the Wizrobe rooms.
And Pachu opting to use Butter Sword over Bow to take down this boss. And that is Pachu's last crystal, and it's time for him to head up to Ganon's tower.
So if you want to guess where Pachu will find his big key, you can go there 22 look. Wait, no, never mind.
Depending on routing, though, could end up being a different number. I could see Pachu doing a right side gamble here.
Oh, I absolutely see it. I think he knows that he's behind. So.
Now, what about a full right side, though? Doing right side and then going straight to Armos instead of mirroring to do left side, though?
That would save some time, but I don't know.
And Cube getting that full magic refill, and it's on to Trolldorm.
Trolldorm knocking him half of the way across the little Batman logo there. And getting a heart container for his trouble in the last chest of the game. And Pachu entering Dark World for the final time. And Cube will be starting out Aga 2. So let's see how he handles this, see if he can get any doubles or triples in.
That was not a friendly first setup.
Or singles. Getting a double in there, though. Growing up, I always thought the Aghanim's like headdress was actually just an open mouth with a fancy mustache above it, and he didn't have ice. I didn't realize it was like a diadem and like a headdress type thing.
Definitely a different perspective to take on him there.
And Aga 2 goes down for Cube, and he is on his way to Ganon.
And it looks like we're seeing just a left side check for Pachu here. Got some CDI link quotes from Ganon today.
And Butterstore showing you exactly how quick getting Ganon out of phase 1, 2, and 3 will take.
And knowing he's got half magic, I'm liking the use of cape just to make sure you get all those hits in and not get trolled by the fire bats.
Those fire bats will take you to Slime Town.
Does get a double to start that off.
That's big. He only needs one more Silver Arrow. And that will be it for Cube.
Now holding his butter sword up high there, get your GGs ready in chat for Cube as he heads through this doorway here to finish it off.
And Cube will be finishing with an official Speed Racing TV time of 1:53.49. Sub 2 hour seed on something that was very, although it was linear, it was only one item at a time linear. So good job to Cube there. See if we can get him in for an interview with us.
And while we wait, we can see Pachu retracing Cube steps here. We'll hopefully get to see nice little strat we actually didn't see from Cube, bonking over that last teleporter there to just kind of save a little bit of time, get you back to this last room before the Armos on Ice fight. Bonking across the gap. Just making quick work of these last few rooms on the way to Armos.
He'll be on his way shortly in here. Give us his thoughts on that seed. I'm sure he has them.
This last Armos guy causing a little bit of trouble. It's never fun dealing with him on ice, but finally lines up those triple arrow shots. And so Armos Knights is down. Interesting to see how low Pachu's arrow count is at this point. Getting ready to head upstairs in Ganon's tower.
And looks like we are joined here by Cube. Cube, how you doing? And thank you for that. Pachu is heading back out again his tower. He needs to pick up some arrows, and he will be digging for them.
There's a good 5 to start. This is actually an interesting method I've not seen.
Doing a lawnmower there, nothing will come up if you do that, but it looks really cool. Looks like Cube is in the waiting room. We'll drag him in here real quick. Cube.
Hello, hello.
How goes?
How are you guys? GG.
Yeah, GG, and well done getting your way through that seed.
Yeah, I mean, just another 329 hundo. It's just the way it goes with this version.
Yeah, it was kind of open there at the beginning, but then it just kind of got super linear there at the end.
Yeah, for the first, I would say, hour, I think everything was kind of coming up Millhouse, like right up to the fire rod. So I was pretty happy with how that was going, but after that, I'm just not the type of player that's going to go independent ice until it's the last place I can go.
Fair enough. Yeah, that time you took going to Skullwoods actually ended up rewarding you quite handsomely, even though it didn't give any like necessary progress. Between that silver access and cape was a nice little safety to have as well.
Yeah, I forgot about the silver arrows. You're absolutely right. Actually, that probably was close to even on time, I would think.
And interestingly, your opponent actually never went there, so on Pachu's side, once he gets through Ganon's tower, we will be seeing a silverless Ganon fight.
Oh, good. Lots of fun. So what happened to him? How did he do?
He's doing really well. You got boots a little bit earlier than he did, and you had silvers going into the last couple dungeons, so you had a little bit of a speed there. Overall, I think in the Ice Palace there was just a little bit better execution from you on that. Once you all found the bow, he was just maybe a good like 2 or 3 minutes behind from that point on.
Fair enough. Yeah, I figured that I probably had the boots earlier than my opponent, which is what I was saying about the first hour going so well that I just kind of went right to their stuff in order.
Yeah, a lot of this seed actually came down to things like each of you kind of making different gambles of sorts that the other one didn't, that like they all just paid off for you. Like you skipped swamp, like left side swamp, Pachu full cleared it, and there was nothing there. Pachu went on to get the pendant in Ice Palace because he didn't know it was a wasn't a pedestal seed yet, so he beat Cold Stare, and there was nothing there. You had the chance to do Skull Woods, and he didn't, and that paid off for you. So like the few things that you did differently, they were like all in your favor essentially.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking probably happened. Like even the Thieves Town play, like that Ice Rod is buried deep, right? That control guy. It's not an item you want to have hidden.
No, we were saying that can be literally anywhere in the game aside from on Trinex.
So I'm curious. I kind of hinted, like I mentioned, you didn't do left side. Is skipping left side swamp something you standardly do, or was that like a heat of the moment decision? Kind of what was going on there?
For one item, I'm not going back. I'm gonna make that gamble every time, because when you make that gamble, you're destroyed so often that it doesn't really matter when you lose. For two items, it's a little more iffy. It depends on how much I have left. In this case, I think I probably would have skipped it, but I can't say for certain, right? I'd have to go back to the moment. And if there's three items, you obviously go back in, almost always.
And Pachu getting his revenge on Trolldorm there. First try getting him down after falling down the that center troll hole in Tower of Hera.
That's rough.
Yeah, we can see the collection right there. Cube having 163 out of 216 locations checked. Pachu did check Pyramid Fairy. I think that put him a few more minutes behind you, but after that, that was a lot of overwork.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it's just the classic V29 Hundo seed, right? Like, it's just gonna make you do everything. And what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, in the end, I think you ended up not going to Zora. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't have the money at the time, and then I wanted to do Catfish, so at that point, that was just kind of a hope nothing's there sort of a play.
Right, yeah, I believe when Pachu had the chance to go to Catfish, he had already been to Palace of Darkness beforehand, so he had the mirror, so we did get to see it. End up being a heart container or a heart piece, one of those, I believe.
Yeah, I would imagine it wasn't much. That was the other thing about this seed, is that it was, for the first 45 minutes, it was really light on the luxury items.
Yeah, I believe Pachu actually did take a death trying to make an early Palace of Darkness play, which might have been where he lost a little more time on you. Because, yeah, it wasn't until later on that we started seeing a bunch more piece of heart pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was in Thieves Town like 40 minutes in with Fighter Sword, Green Mail, 5 hearts. And then I really, even for another 10 or 15 minutes after that, I wasn't comfortable. And then it just gave you all of the swords like in order. Like I got 3 of them in what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, there was it was Spike Cave, Paradox Cave, I believe.
Yeah, and then the first chest in
Swamp.
Alright, Pachu getting a torch glitch here onto some Silverless Butter Sword Ganon. And one thing I sometimes ask with this being that randomized swords setup in this tournament, is this your first time dealing with a Blue Cane escape sequence?
No, not at all. I have been told that the bombs and the canes are 16% each. I don't believe it.
Oh, there's no way.
Yeah, no, I get them all the time.
Yeah, I feel like bombs got to be like closer to 25 to 30%.
Yeah, the bombs don't bother me too much though. The cane sucks because it's like getting the bombs, but you also don't get bombs. You know what I'm saying?
Well, luckily, looked like one of the prize packs for just killing regular enemies was 8 bomb drops.
Yeah, I got that 8 bomb drop immediately. That was cool.
Then the tree pole was 8 bombs, I believe, as well.
Might have been arrows.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I know the tier 2 was a full magic refill, but I didn't check any of the other ones.
I may have been mixing it up with the match I watched earlier today.
And Ganon is down for Pachu.
GG in the chat, boys.
So great job to Pachu there. We'll see if we can pull him in as well.
So while we're waiting for Pachu here, one question for you, Cube, that I kind of like the question I like to ask is, was there any time in this run where you like felt behind, or were you like feeling ahead the whole time? Kind of like what was going through your mind at different points during this seed?
So, like I said before, for the first hour or so, I felt pretty good. It seemed like it was going well. Then after that, it buried the bow deep in pendant ice, and I wouldn't say I feel behind in that sort of spot, because you just never know when your opponent's gonna make that play. You would assume that he would do it kind of like I did, which is quite late. So I don't think you can automatically assume that just because I got that bow close to last possible that I was losing. But I also don't feel like I'm ahead at that point, right?
Very true, yeah. Like when there's only one other person to race against, it gets tough to kind of think like, well, do I know that racer? Would they have done that play or not? Because yeah, that pendant ice is a very, very rough gamble to convince yourself to do early.
Yeah, and I know that there are some people that would do it, and sometimes you get rewarded.
Looks like Takeru is not going to be joining us, or Pachu. I'm sorry, I'm going by his Discord name there. He's not going to be joining us today, so we want to say good race to him. He did a great job. But Cube, do you have anything else that you'd like to share?
Thanks for the commentary. Thanks for the restream. Thanks to Ace on tracking. Follow Ace. Otherwise, it's good. GG.
Yeah, give both of these racers a follow. You are advancing to 3 and 2, so staving off elimination. Once again, congratulations. Follow ALTTP Randomizer 1 through 3. Follow Speed Gaming 1 through 5. And go check out the randomizers, vt.alttp.run. Everything that you need to know will be there. And come join us on Discord. Very, very nice, very welcoming community. I'm Virtual Cat. Xander, do you have anything to say to the rest of our watchers here?
At this point, it sounds like you covered it pretty well, but yeah, if you're really into, like, if this might have been one of your first randomizers, like, whether it's a race or just someone kind of playing on their own, there's always randomizer to watch, like, almost 24/7. So if this is something you're into, definitely always keep an eye out for it, because every seed is different, every runner plays differently, and every randomizer is a different experience, but it's always a blast.
Yeah, there are currently over 3,000 people online in the Link to the Past Randomizer Discord. You'll always find somebody there who's ready to help you out. When I first started, I even had somebody just straight up watch me race and just give me tips, and learned a lot from that. Learned a lot from watching these tournaments. So, yeah, come and join us. It's fun. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. Hope you all have a great night, and be ready for some more races tomorrow.
Yep. Thanks for sticking around for an exciting race, and have a good one, everybody.